Imagine a world where the very foundation of daily life, the money in your pocket, evaporates before your eyes. A place where the stability you once knew crumbles into dust, not in a sudden cataclysm, but in a relentless, bewildering erosion. This was not merely a distant possibility for a generation living in Germany in the early 1920s. It became their stark, devastating reality. This was a time when the deepest fear for an entire nation became the complete collapse of economic order, a chaos so profound it reshaped everything. Following the First World War, Germany was a nation struggling to find its footing. The year 1923 stands as a somber milestone, a period when the value of the German mark entered a dizzying, unprecedented spiral. The war had left the country deeply indebted, and the victors of the conflict imposed heavy reparation payments, payable in gold or foreign currency. Faced with these immense obligations and a strained economy, the government, rather than raising taxes dramatically or cutting spending, chose a different path, printing more and more money. The intention was to pay its bills, but the consequence was a financial storm of epic proportions. Initially, the increased money supply led to a steady rise in prices. But as the printing presses ran faster, and the market recognized that the amount of money in circulation was growing exponentially without a corresponding increase in goods or productivity, confidence began to waver. Then it broke. Trust in the German mark, and by extension, in the institutions meant to safeguard its value, began to dissolve. People watched in bewilderment as their savings, built over lifetimes, began to shrink, then dwindle, then disappear entirely, not through theft or loss, but simply through the relentless march of numbers. The economic mechanics were shockingly simple, yet devastatingly effective. Inflation, a gentle hum in stable economies, became a roaring inferno. Prices for everyday goods would not just rise daily, but hourly. A loaf of bread might cost 250 marks in the morning, but 2,000 marks by lunchtime, and 5,000 marks by evening. Workers, paid by the day, would often rush to spend their wages immediately, knowing that by the next hour, their earnings would have lost significant buying power. It became a race against time, a frantic dash to convert paper money into anything tangible before it became utterly worthless. The German mark suffered an extreme devaluation. What once bought a substantial meal soon couldn't even purchase a single match. Foreign currency, especially the US dollar, became the only true measure of wealth, but it was largely unattainable for the average citizen. This created an impossible situation for businesses who struggled to import raw materials or sell goods at a price that would cover their costs, leading to widespread shortages. Simple transactions became complex calculations, often requiring wheelbarrows full of banknotes to buy groceries. Bartering, a relic of an earlier age, re-emerged as a practical, desperate alternative to using the rapidly decaying official currency. The human impact was profound and heartbreaking. For the middle class, the backbone of any stable society, this period was particularly devastating. Those who had worked hard and saved diligently found their life's efforts reduced to nothing. Pensioners, whose fixed incomes once provided security, were left destitute, their years of contribution rendered meaningless. Families struggled to put food on the table, to heat their homes, to buy clothes for their children. The psychological toll was immense. A sense of betrayal, a loss of dignity, and a pervasive anxiety about the future. It wasn't just about money. It was about the destruction of planning, foresight, and the very concept of a stable tomorrow. Many felt a deep shame, a feeling of having lost control over their own lives and destinies. The breaking point arrived in November 1923. The German mark had reached a staggering exchange rate of 4.2 trillion marks to $1. The currency had effectively ceased to function. It was more valuable as kindling than as a medium of exchange. The government finally took drastic action, introducing a new currency, the Rentenmark, which was theoretically backed by real estate and industrial assets. One Rentenmark was exchanged for 1 trillion old marks. This drastic measure brought a degree of monetary stability, but the deep scars of the hyperinflation remained etched in the national psyche. The experience of 1923 served as a stark and unforgettable lesson. It demonstrated just how fragile societal order can be when the fundamental trust in money and institutions collapses. The fear of economic instability, of personal ruin, and of the widespread chaos that can follow became deeply ingrained. This profound collective memory, this fear of the abyss, highlighted the critical importance of a stable financial system and the trust it underpins. It was a period when the very fabric of society was stretched to its limit, leaving an enduring reminder of how quickly prosperity can vanish and how deeply economic insecurity can impact the human spirit.